The 2017 Europa League final pitted an extremely youthful Ajax team up against a much more experienced Manchester United side, who had a central midfielder that cost more than the entire Ajax squad combined. Ultimately, Manchester United's experience proved to be too great, and in arguably Jose Mourinho's finest achievement at Old Trafford, the Red Devils won Europe's second most prestigious continental competition for the first time. A strong case could be made for the Ajax Academy being the finest in world football, and the Ajax team that reached that final in Stockholm was packed full of players who either came through the Ajax youth ranks or were signed by the club when they were still very young. For that reason, I'm surprised that it took about 50 of you to suggest this idea for me to finally get around to doing it. But here is the Ajax 11 from the 2017 Europa League final. Where are they now? I'll begin with those who started the game, before a quick word on those who came on as substitutes and a couple of other interesting names from that squad. Andre Onana, Ajax. The only man, quite remarkably, who started the 2017 Europa League final just 3 years ago, who is still at the club now, that gives you some indication of the decimation that the Ajax squad has suffered in such a short period of time. In fact, when you look at it like that, the club's resilience to still be the top team in the Netherlands and one of the best teams in Europe outside of the continent's top 5 leagues is all the more impressive. In many respects, given the mass exodus that has occurred, it is somewhat surprising that no one has taken Andre Onana off Ajax's hands. The 24-year-old former La Masia resident joined Ajax from Barcelona in 2015, and within 12 months, he made his first team debut. Onana has already made a staggering 179 appearances for the Amsterdam-based outfit, and having impressed in the Europa League in 2017, he pulled off some real wonder saves as Ajax enjoyed a fairy tale run in the Champions League the following season. An outspoken number one who has talked about discrimination in the past, Onana has described coming close to joining an Italian club only for the team to veto the deal due to concerns about how their fans would react to them signing a black goalkeeper. A quick reminder, it's 2020. The world has officially gone mad. Joel Veltman, Brighton and Hove Albion. The first of 5 current Premier League players in this 11, with a few more from the rest of the squad, English clubs have taken to Ajax youngsters like vultures to a carcass in recent years. Born in a small port city around 11 miles west of Amsterdam, Joel Veltman joined his boyhood club's youth ranks when he was just 9 years old. He would spend almost 20 years with the club in total, departing in the current transfer window for Premier League side Brighton, having fallen just short of 250 appearances for Ajax. Typically, when a club like Brighton signs a full Dutch international with Veltman's pedigree, they would waltz into the club's starting 11, but things are a little more complicated for the 28-year-old. Whilst he can play at either right back or centre back with class, young Tariq Lamptey has started like a bolt of lightning this season, and Brighton are very well endowed at centre back, so he has a battle on his hands to earn a starting berth. Davinson Sanchez, Tottenham Hotspur. The oldest of Ajax's starting centre-backs, at the grand old age of 20, Davinson Sanchez wasn't a product of the Ajax Academy. The Colombian's footballing education actually came primarily at América de Cali, but after his parents moved to Medellin, Sanchez signed for Atlético Nacional. Following 4 seasons for Atlético Nacional, only one of which he spent as a regular, Sanchez was signed by Ajax for €5 million. He would only manage 1 season at the Johan Cruyff Arena before attracting attention from elsewhere, and he ended up joining Tottenham for a then club record fee of £42 million. Still only 24, Sanchez has since played more than 120 games for Spurs, and he has added weight on his shoulders now following the departure of Jan Vertonghen. Matthijs de Ligt, Juventus. The youngest starter in the Ajax squad, which had an average age not much above 21, Matthijs de Ligt became the youngest starter in a major European final when he started for Ajax aged only 17 years and 285 days in the 2017 Europa League final. A remarkable boy wonder, de Ligt became the youngest Dutch international since 1931 at the age of 17, Ajax's youngest captain of all time at 18, and he won the prestigious Golden Boy Award in 2018. Following all those successes, as well as registering over 100 appearances for Ajax before he turned 20, a major move was inevitable. De Ligt arrived in the summer of 2019 as he joined Juventus for an initial €75 million and a potential €85.5 million, making him the 4th most expensive defender of all time. In truth, De Ligt had an unfortunate debut campaign in Turin, thrown in at the deep end, following an injury to Giorgio Chiellini, but reports of his demise have been slightly overblown. A shoulder injury has ruled him out the early parts of this season, but De Ligt is still only 21, and he is at a club that has long bred world-class defenders. Jairo Riedewald, Crystal Palace. From a Europa League final with a Dutch giant to a bit part player at Crystal Palace, Jairo Riedewald is yet to set the world alight in the Premier League. Snapped up by Ajax at the age of only 11, he too made his first team debut at the age of 17. Renowned for his versatility, Riedewald can play at left back, centre back and in holding midfield, and he's exactly what you'd expect of an Ajax Academy graduate. Smart, technical and hard-working, Riedewald had become a bit of a forgotten man at Selhurst Park, but Roy Hodgson played him in holding midfield during pre-season where the Dutchman flourished. Still only 24, one suspects he'll play more games for Crystal Palace this season than he has in any of the last three. Davy Klaassen, Werder Bremen. A familiar face to Everton fans as one of a number of dreadful signings that they made over a 2 or 3 year period, in fairness to the Toffees, I thought Davy Klaassen looked like a really smart piece of business when they first brought him in. A midfield all-rounder with a sharp eye for goal, Klaassen captained Ajax in the 2017 Europa League final, as well as scoring 20 goals that season, which would prove to be his last with the club. A £23.4 million move to Everton followed, where two managers took a look at him, didn't like what they saw, and Klaassen was quickly sold to Werder Bremen for a more than £10 million loss. Klaassen has since become a regular fixture at the Weserstadion, where he is a key man and among the most hard-working players in the Bundesliga. Lasse Schone, Genoa. The grand part of this Ajax side, aged 30 at the time, Lasse Schone spent 7 superb seasons with Holland's most successful club. Signed from NEC on a free transfer, Schone proved to be an inspired piece of business by Ajax, proceeding to score 64 goals in 287 games for the club from midfield. Equally capable of playing as a 6, 8 or a 10, and previously even out wide on the left or right flanks, Schone has tended to drop deeper as the years have gone by, now aged 34. The Danish international left Ajax in 2019, signing for current club Genoa in a deal worth just €1.5 million. Hakim Ziyech, Chelsea. A man whose praises I have long sung on this channel, our chance to see Hakim Ziyech in action in the Premier League has been delayed by an injury. For so long the Eredivisie's assist king, Ziyech has been remarkably creative for the last 7 seasons, as well as chipping in with a considerable number of goals himself. The gifted 27-year-old, who can play out wide or through the middle, has now won the Ajax Player of the Year award for 3 consecutive seasons. A departure was always inevitable then, and confirmation of Ziyech's transfer didn't even take until the end of the season. He joined Chelsea for what seemed like a very reasonable €40 million by modern market conditions, and it will be interesting to see what kind of form he can produce once he finds full fitness. Bertrand Traore, Aston Villa. The most recent of a number of Premier League arrivals in this 11, Bertrand Traore, was actually contracted to a Premier League club when he started for Ajax in the 2017 Europa League final. The Burkina Faso star, who has already won 54 caps for his country at the age of 25, joined Ajax on loan from Chelsea following 2 stints with Vitesse. As I remember it, he was actually Ajax's biggest threat against Manchester United in Stockholm, and the Dutch giants wanted to sign him on a permanent basis. They missed out to Lyon though, whose £8.8 million bid proved to be successful, and following 3 seasons in France, he joined Aston Villa for £17 million 2 weeks ago and scored on his debut against Bristol City in the League Cup. Kasper Dolberg, Nice. Yet another teenager from the Ajax squad of 2016 to 17, Kasper Dolberg was still only 19 when he started for the Dutch outfit as their main man up top in a major European final. Signed by Ajax from Silkeborg for just £200,000, Dolberg was just 17 at the time of the move, and he spent a season in the Ajax youth ranks. He had a remarkable breakout 2016-17 campaign though, scoring 23 goals, and earning comparisons with the young Zlatan Ibrahimovic. However, the following season, Dolberg failed to hit double figures, leading to a revision of some previously very lofty expectations. Following a half-decent recovery season, the 22-year-old was signed by Nice in 2019 for just over €20 million, where he has since bagged 13 goals in 30 games. Amin Younes, Napoli. Diminutive wide man Amin Younes played so well for Ajax for a short period of time that he broke into the German national team, winning 5 caps in 2017. A quick and exciting wide man with bags of flair, Younes joined Ajax from Borussia Mönchengladbach, a club he had been at since the age of 8. In 3 seasons, Younes made exactly 100 appearances for Ajax, albeit they were 3 seasons in which the club somewhat surprisingly never won the Eredivisie title. He joined Napoli on a free transfer in 2018 in a move that was delayed due to family reasons, and lots of niggling injuries have prevented him from making a real impression in Naples. That was the Ajax starting 11 in the 2017 Europa League final, but now we must come to their 3 substitutes, going in order of their introduction. The first to be introduced was Brazilian teenager David Neres, who had only joined the club from Sao Paulo in January 2017. Neres was excellent for the next 2 seasons, and a big move seemed almost certain, before a knee injury ruled him out for the best part of the year, and he's still with Ajax now. Next up was recent Manchester United signing Donny van de Beek, who came on in place of Lasse Schone. Van de Beek went on to establish himself as a key man in Amsterdam, and following a potential £40 million move to Old Trafford, the Dutchman scored on his debut, albeit that goal came at a 3-1 defeat to Crystal Palace. The final substitute of the evening was the midfield marvel Frenkie de Jong, who made just 11 appearances for Ajax that season, but became one of the best midfielders in Europe over the next 2. His fine form led to a €75 million switch to Barcelona, and despite a chaotic debut campaign in Catalonia, I still think he is tailor-made to start for Barcelona once the club returns to some form of normality. Before I leave you, a quick word for 2 players who didn't feature that day, namely right-back Kenny Tete, who joined Fulham from Lyon earlier this month, and forward Justin Kluivert, who joined Roma from Ajax for just under €20 million in 2018, where he has since scored 9 goals in 66 games, and one wonders whether his development would have been better served by remaining at Ajax for just a little longer. Meanwhile, manager Peter Bosz, who had a 64% win percentage in Amsterdam, almost immediately departed for Borussia Dortmund, where he would last just 6 months, and he now manages Bayer Leverkusen. So that's it for today's video. Thank you all for tuning in, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would deeply appreciate you hitting the like button if that was the case. Feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comments section below, subscribe to HITC Sevens if for any reason you'd like to see more videos from me in the future, and you can also follow me on Twitter or Instagram if you're a real masochist, where the username is just @HITC Sevens on both platforms.